Hey guys, DMV SoloRider back with another video. Wanted to share a follow-up to my Hotwired video. Since I filmed that, I've had the chance to put this Hotwired gear through its paces pretty well. For Thanksgiving, I rode down to Daytona Beach for the week. So that's about a 1,600 mile round trip. Wore the heated gear the whole time. And had some further thoughts. Also, as I mentioned in that last video, I was waiting on the Hotwired gloves to come in. I've got them, and I have a lot of thoughts about these, and I just wanted to follow up. So when I left the DMV to head down to Florida, it was like 25 degrees. It was pretty cold. I was fully kitted out, and I'm happy to report that the Hotwired gear did its job just fine. You know, the pants worked well, the jacket worked well. I did put my windproof liner on underneath my mesh and leather jacket, and that definitely helped kind of keep the jacket liner more uniformly against my skin. It worked well. Now, just to be clear, in 25 degrees, you're not going to feel like you're sitting next to a fire. You know, you're not going to be warm and cozy all over. I find that what the Hotwired gear does is it takes the bite out. It makes you comfortable enough so you can enjoy your ride instead of spending all of your time thinking about how miserable you are, which in my experience ruins a motorcycle ride. So it did great. The jacket was good, the pants were good. Even in the coldest temperatures, I think I had the pants on medium because hot was just too hot with my closeouts. I had the jacket on high the whole time. You know, the first day, the day I was heading down, you know, it started at about 25 degrees. And, you know, by noon, early afternoon, I had taken the heated gear off. I had my leather gloves on. It got warmer and warmer as I made my way south, and it was great. On the way back, it was pretty cold in Florida when I left. It was about 35 degrees. And as I was going north, even though it was getting later in the day, the temperatures pretty much stayed in the 40s. I think I got around 50, maybe the low 50s at one point for a couple hours. But it was pretty chilly the whole ride. And again, the heated gear was great. You know, what I really wanted to get back to you about were these gloves. As I mentioned in my last video, I had originally ordered everything in a medium, and they were too big, so I went out and got smalls for everything. I could not find a pair of small gloves, assuming these medium gloves would have been too big on me like everything else. So I had to go with glove liners, and I told you what my experience was with those. The glove liners, once you plug them in, they're on. You can't modify the temperature, and they burn my hands in between my fingers. Remember, both the glove liners and the gloves heat between your fingers. They don't heat on the tops or the bottoms. The idea is when you're like this on your motorcycle, your fingers are pressed together, the heat will emanate out from between your fingers and warm the rest of your hand. It works pretty well, pretty reliably. Of course, I have heated grips, that helps. So, concerned that the medium gloves would be too big, I figured they were coming in the mail anyways, I might as well try them. I'm happy to say that the medium gloves actually fit me really well. You know, the small glove liners fit me fine, the medium gloves fit me perfectly too, and I think what's going on is inside these gloves, it's basically just the glove liner stitched in, so the fit is good. A little long in the fingertips, but otherwise comfortable through the rest of my hand. Kind of the gauntlet straps on my wrist, I put them at the loosest setting, otherwise it's a little tight, but it's comfortable. And on that note, these gloves are comfortable all over the hand. Like, I don't feel any chafing. That liner material is really soft and comfortable. So I was wearing these gloves when I started my trip down to Florida. And as I mentioned in the last video, the reason I really wanted to try the gloves is because you can adjust the temperature. Let me show you. So this is the controller. All you do is you give it one long press to turn it on. They're on. I don't know if that's going to come through in the camera, but the controller is red. That's the highest setting. Press it one more time, it turns white. that's the medium setting. One more time, it's green, that's the lowest setting. Another long press to turn it off or to cycle back through the temperatures. And I figured, if the glove liners burned my hands, the ability to adjust the temperature on the gloves might be the solution I needed. And generally speaking, I was really happy with how the gloves worked. I was happy with my ability to set the temperature. The negative is, similar to the glove liner, I think they still burned my hands. And just to be clear, I didn't put the gloves on high and just leave them there all day. As I was going through my first day of the trip, I basically, you feel the heat. And on my right hand, it felt like high was too high, so I put it on medium. On my left hand, high felt fine, so I kept it on high. And by the time I got to Florida, I started to have blistering on the palms of my right hand and my right knuckles. Now, they're new gloves, and when you're wearing something new like gloves, sometimes you can get some chafing, some rubbing, can be a little tight, and that can just create blisters. But these gloves are really comfortable. I feel nothing. Nowhere on any square inch of my hand do I feel any chafing or discomfort. I think that the heat over a prolonged period of time, on that way down to Florida, I was wearing the gloves for probably about 5-6 hours. I think the heat burned my skin, or at least softened up the skin enough so that wearing gloves chafed my skin in those areas. So on the way back, wearing my gloves again, I decided to be a little more cautious. I kept my left hand on medium, I kept my right hand on low, and again, I was comfortable, but they got burned again. This time on my left knuckle. So, when it comes to these heated gloves, the jury is still out as to whether or not they're a great solution for me. I mean, in terms of the cold, they are a good solution. They do their job, they work. I'm happy with them. But, you don't want to burn your hands. You don't want to have blisters on your hands every time you ride. So, I'm going to keep playing around with them, keep wearing them, see if it was just, because of the newness. Maybe there's just something about my delicate little hands compared to other people. I don't know. But, so technically the jury is still out on the gloves, but we'll keep working on it and see how they go long term. As far as the jacket and the pants, they're outstanding. Excellent. Highly recommend them. They definitely do the job, and I'm speaking with about 2,500 miles of experience using them now. Big thumbs up. I still have not tried the boot liners because I just haven't needed them. Even at 25 degrees, my feet were perfectly comfortable behind these closeouts. But I will... as we get further into winter, I'll find some time to go try those insoles. I'm a little worried they're going to fry my feet, but we'll see. The only other thought I wanted to bring up about the heated gear is about the controller flap on the jacket liner. I'll put this picture back up on the screen. You can see the short little stubby controller is attached to the bottom of the jacket. And what I found on my trip to Florida was, at times, because it's so short compared to the longer controller that you loop over your pants, because it's so short, it can get lost in your jacket and it can be hard to find. And also, when you think about the bottom of your jacket, that little controller getting lost in there, the bottom of your jacket can accidentally change the temperature on the jacket or even shut the controller off entirely, depending on where it's positioned in there. So that was kind of a little annoying. It happened a couple times. Basically, I just made an effort to really pull that tab down to stretch it out a bit so I could reach it while I was riding. Fortunately, once I had the jacket set at high, I didn't normally need to make a lot of adjustments. It was pretty cold on the way back, and certainly that first morning on the way down to Florida. So aside from that, I'm really happy with both, and I just wanted to follow up, as I mentioned, and talk to you about that, talk to you about the gloves. And again, I got about 2,500 miles wearing this heated gear so far, so I think I'm kind of passing the point of initial impressions and solid opinion. So take that as you will. And that's really all I wanted to say today. On my trip down to Florida, it's an 11-hour ride without stops. Obviously, you're going to stop for gas, stop to stretch. So I planned for it to be like a 14-hour ride down there, barring traffic. And I'm happy to say that, in that 800-mile ride, I was on schedule. I was making great time heading down there until I hit Savannah. I think about 50 miles north of Savannah, started to get some traffic. And then I guess around like the Savannah Beltway, which, part of it is 95, there was an accident. and most of 95 was shut down. And let me tell you, I'm used to stop and go traffic here in the DMV. We're having some right now, but this was like a whole other level. Most of 95 was shut down for about 50 miles north of Savannah, and all of the routing apps that we use, you know, Waze and Google Maps and even Indians Navigation, were recommending alternate routes. But as soon as you would hit an alternate route, you'd get bogged down in more traffic. I guess all the apps and navigation tools were routing everyone the same ways, and it just became a disaster. It took me 3 hours to get past Savannah. So my ride down to Florida ended up being a 17-hour ordeal, and it sucked. You know, I'm happy I was able to do it. 800 miles in a day, 17 hours. Obviously an iron butt would be no problem. We might have to do one of those. The reason I went to Florida for Thanksgiving is I have family who just moved there, so I wanted to go check out their new place, hang out a bit, and so I'll probably be in Florida quite a bit. But the traffic I hit on the way down there was only to be outdone by the traffic getting back home just north of Richmond. You know, I was making amazing time coming home. I think I was at less than 13 hours by the time I hit Richmond. I was having a great ride. I was comfortable, just really enjoying the bike. You know, 95 is not a great road. There's nothing exciting about it, but it was fun anyways. It's always fun riding. And then I hit this traffic just north of Richmond, about 80 miles outside of DC. And it took me in this traffic jam, I want to say like 2 hours to go a total of 21 miles on 95 North, with every alternate route being backed up. And within that 21 miles, about an hour and a half of that was a 12-mile stretch. It just sucked. It was horrible. So it took me like 15 hours to get back. We're actually riding to Clifton right now, just to tool around. But anyways, the ride back sucked. Almost worse than the traffic in Savannah, only because it was even slower. Less time in traffic, but it was even slower traffic. So when you're inching around at less than a mile an hour on a big touring bike, that just gets exhausting. I was completely ruined by the time I got home. But, you know, I did it. It can be done. Hey, we've got some bikers. Yeah, so that's all I had in mind for today's video. I'm actually riding through Clifton. Just wanted to get out on the bike. Haven't ridden it since I got home last weekend. And, you know, one other point I wanted to make, you know, I was so happy with the quality of the video that I shot talking about the Hotwired gear in 4K that I'm feeling this urge to go and redo all my local rides to have that awesome video quality. So you might see some redos. I can't tell you how upsetting it was since I started the channel to just see terrible video quality, you know, despite my best efforts. There was really nothing I could do to improve it because I only had a computer that could edit a 1080p video, and shooting in 4K with my GoPros wouldn't have mattered because I wouldn't have been able to process the video on my old laptop. But now that's all taken care of. I'm in 4K land. The video looked great, and you know, it's winter, so it's probably not going to look as pretty as if it was spring or summer, but you know, we'll figure it out. But you might see some duplicates. But anyways, that's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, I'd certainly appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up. I put my ride and ride-related content out every Tuesday. Hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell. You'll get an alert when my new videos are out, and I'd certainly appreciate it. And until next Tuesday, y'all stay safe out there. DMV SoloRider out.